How's it going, everyone? Alex with Jeeps Limited. So this video is the second part of the previous video that I uploaded of painting the fenders. I said in that video I was going to paint them and install them all in one video, but it ended up being just a little bit too long, so I'm breaking it into two parts. This is the second part. A little bit of a spoiler, they're installed, and since installing them I've already started doing a whole bunch of work under the hood. So that video will be coming out shortly. But in the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy a video of me installing fenders. Alright, so I got the fenders painted, sanded, repainted, clear coated, whole 9 yards there. They're not sanded. They're going to get sanded once they're put on the vehicle. You can see I kind of shoved them in the corner because I actually took a couple of weeks and did some other painting on the vehicle, which you can see in previous episodes. I fixed the damage that I caused on the tub. And I actually went ahead and fixed up and painted the firewall. So these have been sitting off to the side for a little while. But the day is finally here. I'm going to put them on. I'm going to put the grill on. I got all the nuts and bolts all cleaned up. I'm just going to reuse the ones that were on there because they're all in pretty good shape, at least good enough shape to get it on the vehicle. So I'm going to start by putting the grill on. And that way I can hang the fenders on the grill as they're getting installed because they just connect to the body and then the grill. They don't have their own body mounts. So I'm going to go ahead and spin the camera around and get started on putting the grill on. So to no surprise, hopefully to anybody, I don't know if I have the right body mount for the grill. I'm going to attempt to not scratch this all to death. It's not going to do anything. This, I would assume, is the body mount for this, but I'm just not 100% sure. My thought is if I get this on there tight enough, it'll kind of hold it in place. The bolt's actually a little long. These have to sit like that. And then they get screwed in from the top. Bolts that I probably don't have. New plan, I'm going to put the fenders on first, see what that does. The fenders should be able to hang off the tub. I don't think there's a good way to get this to sit here on its own, which is what I was hoping it was going to do, but I don't think it will. It's all right. day. So I did put a little bit of rubber on the shock tower there just to hopefully not scratch the shit out of the inside of this thing. And it shouldn't fall. I did, pre-run these in there so I know that they're the right bolts. It's just a little hard. This electric ratchet's not the strongest thing ever. So I would think it would do better than that. Maybe it's the floppy doodly-doo problem. Well, I only mildly scratched the shit out of the inside of the fender. It's alright, that's right, we have touch-up paint. This gap here is about as bad as I thought it would be. Now, one thing I didn't do when I made this piece here is drill the holes for the bolts there. So at some point, like I'm missing 2 bolt holes, I'll have to mark them and drill them. And I can probably pull this out a little bit when I do that and get this flush, but it's on there for now, and that's kind of all that really matters. Okay. See, now this is the original corner. I didn't redo this. And so even like the bolt holes are still there, so I can throw bolts through that. But now, yeah, see this, I should be able to get this up more because it's down like 1/4 of an inch. But you can see here, like where I put Bondo, because it sticks out kind of far. So there might be something that I have to fix down the road. You know, is kind of grind that out and then use this as a straight edge to Bondo that straighter. Now that's not something I even thought about as I was doing any of the Bondo. I was painting this and I was like, oh shit, what if the fenders don't line up? Which they really don't. At some point that you know, I'll probably do something with that, but that time is not now. Just repainted these because I don't really know why, but whatever. Knowing that I was probably gonna have to do this, but you know, this is getting them on. This is getting me one step closer to where I need to be. So if I gotta come back and correct stuff like that later, it's just what I'm gonna have to do, or I might inevitably just decide, hey, I can live with this. Again, it's not a show car. You know, I just want it running and driving right now. So, and if it's not the most attractive looking thing, then it is what it is. So, though I also don't know if I can get that up because it didn't have slotted holes on the fender, and then it's nut certs on the body. This side is up a little bit higher. Not even maybe necessarily all the way. I mean, these are obviously an aftermarket, so they might not be perfect. I'll probably just get the grill on, get it all supported, and kind of see what happens from there. And then if I need to even take this off and make the holes slotted or something, I can. But at least, again, this way I can see kind of how they're fitting in there. So I'm going to try and get the grill on now. This again. 50-50 shot of getting the ratchet correct. I also have to cut that bolt down at some point because it's just a little bit too long. But now I can still square all this up, and I should have threaded bolts into the grill before getting to this point, but I didn't, so oh well. Also have a strange feeling I may not have those anymore. I trust that that's the right one. Which is good, because I have two of them. I know it's started. Alright, we're doing two things here. We're loosening the bolts on the fenders so that they move, and then I think I'm going to take that center body mount off, because it might not even be the right one. It's kind of sitting up kind of high. I'm just going to loosen these so I have an ability to move things here. Take this off. It would certainly help to put the bolts in the right holes. Make fitment better. Common sense would probably say, like, call your one friend that actually watches these videos and have him help you with this, but too impatient for that. Getting there. It's actually pretty well lined up, so this is never going to rust with the amount of anti-seize that's all over everything from 2 little bolts, so anti-seize the entire car, it won't ever rust. I'm going to grab a couple more bolts. I still don't know about the body mount, to be honest with you. I don't even know if that's the right one. I also don't know which way it goes in, so I'll have to figure that out. But yeah, it's fitting. It's fitting. So let me grab some more bolts. Lines up decent, but I think it's just a lot of finagling to get everything where it needs to be. I think I have the right bolts, but I'm not even sure. So it's in the bag labeled Fenders. So I would assume these are for the Fenders. I'm going to go for a one side at a time approach. See what that does for us. I've concluded the bolts I'm putting in the top go in the bottom. So, take this one out now that it's fucked up. Go back to the two sides at a time approach. I did a nut cert delete at some point here. I'll omit that. If it was that important, Mopar wouldn't have made it rusty. I have to go source some hardware for this. I don't know what goes where. surely not every bolt and every nut cert is bad. All the nut certs have paint in them, but I should be able to push through that relatively easily. Alright, so I went ahead and actually just ran taps through the nut certs, which just cleaned a bunch of crud out of them, and then all the bolts went in pretty nicely, or not all of them, I got 3 in each side. There's a total of 6 on one side, 5 on the other, now that I did that nut cert delete. Now the situation I am running into, it's a twofold problem. The body mount, there's a body mount right in the front of the grill. It does not line up forward and backwards. And it also seems to be way too high, because I have just like a little, like a ½ inch spacer sitting underneath it right now. And everything seems to be like pretty level as it should be. The gaps on the sides are like up and down are kind of where they need to be. And it's got an inch body lift on it. So there should be quite a bit of space between there, and there's not. There's almost no space for as it sits what looks to be correctly, and then like I said, it doesn't line up front and back, which is probably a result of cutting off the entire front of the frame and redoing it. Though, also I will say it does not look like the grill should be any further back because of the room. I have what looks to be the exact right amount of room from the surface where the radiator mounts, the radiator and the shroud, for the fan to be just inside the shroud, as it probably is supposed to be. So, I don't really know why that's happening. I don't necessarily know what I'm going to do about it yet. I mean, if I just have to drill a different hole through the body mount piece, I can, just to kind of move the body mount. But I'd like to know why it doesn't sit correctly. But either way, it is kind of bolted in. It's nothing's really tight yet, but it is bolted in. But I mean, I will need something holding the middle in there. So I don't know. I guess I don't know why it's like that or what I'm gonna do about it yet. But it's, I mean, it's really got to be a result. I mean, the whole front 18 inches or so, 16 inches of frame rail, the tube and the body mount itself are all new. I can't imagine that I somehow cut off way too much and that this whole thing is supposed to be out and almost 2 inches. Okay, it could be. I mean, I could measure and see how the bumper would fit with that grill there, just to see. That might tell me if the, you know, the bolts for the bumper, you know, if the bumper would end back in the grill, then I know that the frame rails are probably too short. Which again, I don't really intend on fixing that problem. I would just fix everything else moving forward, make a new body mount just to bolt it in. Figure out how to make a rubber body mount out of the body mounts that I have that would just hold this so that everything is level, and then just have an inch body lift to 0 in the front. As long as it looks right, I guess it doesn't really matter. But I'm a little surprised that it would be that far off, but I'm also wouldn't be that surprised either, just given the work that I did. And it also probably doesn't help that I put the whole front end on, and then ended up kind of fucking cutting part of it off and redoing it because it was just all wonky. So, yeah, I don't know. But it is getting bolted in, so I'm going to look at that more, maybe see if there's just something I'm missing here and I can get it lined up better. But I'm not quite sure that there would be. Because you've got a fixed point off the body, fixed point off the fenders, unless somehow the fenders were wrong. But like I said, I don't think they are, because I seem to have enough room here. Like the grill and the shroud would fit in here and cover the fan like I would assume they should. Or not the grill, the radiator and the fan, the shroud would cover the fan like I would assume they are supposed to. So that's where we stand as of right now. Okay, so I looked at a bunch of pictures, took some measurements of the bumper, and then I took there's support rods, and if I take the support rod and put it in place, it gets literally within a quarter of an inch of where it was at, which tells me, oh, well, there we go, exactly where it was at. So that tells me that the grill is right where it needs to be. What I have concluded is this piece here that the grill is supposed to have a body mount through, this piece here that goes under the grill is too long. Even looking back at pictures, now it's hard to tell exactly, but even looking at pictures of how this was before, I can see that the grill is exactly in line with the holes on the frames as it was supposed to be, or again, within margin of error when you're cutting them off and putting them back on. Nothing that would be dramatically out of whack. This is off by like 2 inches. So nothing that would be dramatically out of whack. And looking at the way the hole in the body mount there lined up with existing holes on the frame, it looks like it should have been lined up with these holes here, but it's not. It's way behind them. So I've concluded that that piece is just incorrect. Now, whether or not I bought an incorrect piece, I have no idea, or if the piece was just made incorrectly. It could be for the TJ. I don't know if they have the same piece there, because it's just around. It's not integrated with the frame rails. It's a separate piece. It's just this tube with the body mount on there. So that's why it doesn't line up. Why it's significantly too high, and why I don't think I can fit the spacers in there is, first and foremost, I don't know how the spacers go in there. I don't know if they're supposed to go like that, up, which I think they are, or if they're supposed to be like that, which I don't think they are. I think they're supposed to be like that. So it's still, like, way too low. I don't know why, which that actually might, like, really cause an issue with the fan shroud. Well, actually, it might not, because you have to adjust the fan shroud when you do the body lift. In this instance, I might not have to do anything with the fan shroud. It could cause problems with the hood closing, I don't know. Probably not again, because there's the mound of stuff on top of the motor is just crap that's flopped over there. It could cause a problem, but again, I don't really know. I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet. Really, the only thing I can do is cut down a body mount to get it in there and drill a new hole in the body mount on the frame to get it bolted in. And honestly, I don't really think there's much I can do. There's potentially a problem with the body mounts on the actual tub itself, because it just seemed like the thing was sitting all weird when I put it in. If I really have that big of an issue, I could just turn around and get regular height body mounts and redo all the body mounts, which really shouldn't be that hard to do if it's a problem. But I think for now, I can just modify what I need to get the grill mounted and then get everything bolted together. Like I said, it seemed like the tub itself had a weird rake to it. And this could be the result of that rake, that it's just drastically off on this end. I'm not really sure. So there might be some fucking around with that I'm going to have to do. So yeah, that's what I've concluded. That's where we stand as of right now. So, alright, so here's where we're at. I went ahead and just got all the bolts in, all 6 and 5 on each fender, and I bolted those fenders in tightly, so everything is pretty much where it should be. I mean, these bars line up. Something that drove me crazy for a long time is this one comes in this way on an angle, this one goes out that way on an angle, so I thought this whole thing wasn't square, but that's not the case. When the tabs up there were installed by the factory, you can see that one is like 4 inches to the right of the hood hinge mounting location. This one's lined up with it, so they're just always going to be like that. I still don't know why this is fucked up. Doesn't really matter. Everything looks correct. As I look down them, everything looks fine. So I just went ahead and marked on here where I need a new body mount hole, and I'm just going to take this off and drill that. And then I marked my holes for the fender too, where I need to drill those. So I think what I'm going to do is probably take the fender off, get those drilled, and I can get some bolts through there just to hold it. And then I'll take the grill off, remake a body mount there, and put this back on, see if I can't get it bolted in some fashion. I'm going to take just a body mount, cut it apart, just to get it to work there, and I think that'll be okay. And then we'll go from there. I'm sure all of that's going to just completely bite me in the ass, but I'm like trying to put the hood on or something. But like I said, I measured the grill, or not the grill, the radiator and the fan shroud, and that seems correct. I measured the center holes of the bumper versus the center holes on the frame rails. That all seems correct. Everything lines up like it does in the pictures, except for this body mount. So I think that's got to be wrong. Now, the height might still be wrong. I don't know. I think the whole vehicle might be raked forward a little bit. When you look down the side of it, you really can't see it that much. So it actually might be just raked correctly. It's been just obviously a long time since I've seen the way this thing sits. Nor would I have ever assumed it was sitting properly before. Some of the body mounts were just completely shot. The whole thing was just a fucking mess. So it's like, how can you go based off of pictures if it was really sitting the way it should? So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm just going to I just got to modify that. I should have done it, again, when I was building that piece in the corner. I just didn't. Again, wasn't probably thinking about fenders. And then this I'm going to modify to work. And then as far as the height, we're just going to have to see down the road how that tends to bite me in the ass. But so far, it's getting there. I mean, these fit as they should. They literally just fell exactly into place as they should. The grill off of the cowl is straight. Looking down the bodies, it's pretty damn straight. It's not completely perfect. But again, I don't know if it ever was. And you got to understand the mating surfaces for the fenders of the tub, on that side at least, completely changed. That side, I didn't really change it that much, but it's just been pushed and pulled around, and you can't really expect everything to go back together perfectly. I do like, actually, the way these body mounts or body lines ended up. It's pretty damn good for what it is on this side. That side's not super great. The only thing that's still off a little bit is like the fender is down from this body line and it's up from the bottom. Now, this piece, when I remade it, could do that. I don't know. The other side's not as bad. Once I put the fender on there, or the flare on there, it kind of covered up anyways. I'll reiterate, it's not a show vehicle. This is a vehicle I hope to drive again in my lifetime. So I'm happy with it. I'm just going to go ahead and make it work and keep moving forward. Alright, so I got the holes for the additional bolts drilled in this fender. I didn't put bolts in there yet. I gotta go get some. Even that side, I didn't put bolts in the lower holes yet because the bolts I have are trash. I'll probably actually try to replace all of the bolts in here if I just can find a match, or I'm sure I could probably find fender bolts. I could just do them one at a time. It would really be no big deal. And then I did get this mount relocated on the frame. It's a little bit different than what it's supposed to be. Basically, rather than having a rubber bushing go through the frame, which would be sound dampening, I just drilled the hole big enough for the sleeve to come through, the metal sleeve that's in the bushing to come through, and then there's a bushing on the top and the bottom. I do need to modify it a little bit still because it hangs down the bottom of the car like yay big. I have to actually find a way to cut the bushing, make it, like an inch thick or so, and then cut down the bolt. But it's in there. I mean, it's pretty solid, so I'm happy with that. I don't know if by having that metal sleeve through there, it's going to rattle. It might. If it does, I'll have to take it out and fix it, do something with it. I didn't make the hole big enough for the bushing. For two reasons, because the hole on there right now is not the right size for the bushing. I don't even know if this is the right bushing, so I don't want to hog out a huge hole. Plus, to do that, I'd have to use a hole saw, and honestly, just didn't really think it's necessary. If that makes some noise, fuck, I could wrap it in electrical tape and stick the sleeve back through if I need to. I'll figure it out. If it makes noise, it's a later me problem. So otherwise, those went in pretty good. I got to do a little bit of adjusting for fitment. This side here where I modified the tub, the fender's like way too short, I think. Yeah, the fender's up like 1/4 of an inch. This side over here where I didn't modify the tub, the fender's too long. I think I just got to play with the body lines and adjust it a little bit, which I can do by really changing this bushing here. I could raise the whole thing up. Now, the only problem is the holes on the fenders are not meant to they're not like slotted holes, so you really can't do that, but I could make them slotted if I wanted to, or figure out a way to finagle it, and or just fucking leave it, and then cover the bottoms with the little piece of the fender flare, so you probably won't even see it. I might do rocker guards because the rockers look like crap anyway. It's more or less how the hood's gonna line up, and whatever. Future me problem. I'm going to try and line them up, but that's future me problem. The only other thing I really need to do with the fenders, the grill, and the cowl is wet sand it. I'm just going to hold off on that a little bit longer. And one of the reasons for that is I kind of figure if I'm working in here and I scratch it, I'm going to scratch the clear coat, and that scratch might just go away when I wet sand it, versus if I wet sand it now and I scratch it afterwards. I don't know. It's not like I need to worry about how hard the clear coat gets, because it's already pretty fucking hard at this point. I've been working on these fenders for like over a month now, so that's really not a big deal at this point in time. So anyways, that's going to be it for this video.